So, as Leah mentioned, KJ is a CEO and co-founder of Mented Cosmetics. She's launched 7 product lines and has also secured $4 million in funding. So she knows her way around fundraising. So we're going to start there. And so my first question for you is, what do you know now about fundraising that you wish you knew when you went through your first raise?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you guys for having me. It's really good to be here. So one thing I wish I knew now, or wish I knew then, that I do know now, is that fundraising actually takes a long time, and people are prone to, I won't say lie, but people are prone to pretend as if they've all had this like really seamless, streamlined process in their raise. Like, yeah, I went out with my pitch deck and like, it was about a 2-month process and then we closed the round and we got 2 million. That's not how it ever works. That is, I mean, it's literally not how it ever works. 1 in 50 people wrap up a round from start to finish in 2 months, right? Most of us, particularly if it's your first raise, like you might do that on your second or third raise because then you know people, you've got a real business, blah, 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 blah. But if it's your first raise, the reality more than likely will be that it takes you 4 to 8 months to close a round, and that you are raising while you are running the business. And you might raise a little bit and then say like, all right, I need a break from raising. And then you might go back out and raise a bit more and say, now I need another break from raising. And not only is that okay, it's very, very normal. And like, I wish I had known that, because when I was going through that process, like I sort of felt like, oh, are we doing it wrong? Like, is our business really shitty? No, we had a great business, a great idea, a great founding team, but it takes the time it takes. And so I just hope if any of you are in your first raise and that's been your experience, you don't think like, oh, I'm doing something wrong because there are people telling you it should be like this really like short, fast-paced thing, because it almost never is.
Right. And, also I think something that any founder here has dealt with is entering into a room that's full of VCs that are white men. So, you and your co-founder, Amanda E. Johnson, were the 15th and 16th Black women to raise over $1 million in funding. So, walking into that room where you are different than everybody around you, what do you find really helpful to be able to get the most out of those experiences?
Yeah, I will say, I mean, we have a lot of white men on our cap table. And I think a couple things. The first is, the reality is like, if you can get your objectives to be aligned with your investors' objectives, it doesn't really matter what you look like or what they understand or don't understand about the beauty industry or whatever your industry is, because they understand money. Right. So like, yes, I would lead with the fact that we want every woman to be able to find herself in the world of beauty. That's statement 1. But statement 2 is, women of color outspend on beauty compared to their white counterparts by upwards of 80%. Right. So even if you don't care about beauty, you care about dollars. So now, you're in my camp and you get it and you're interested. Oh, okay, this is a $60 billion market. And you're telling me the demographic you're going after spends more money on beauty. Say more. Right. So I think like for me, it was always about like quickly getting to the numbers. Yes, I want to inspire you with the story and with the idea and with the gumption behind the founders and everything else. But then I want to get to the numbers, because I know you understand numbers.
Money talks, I guess, yeah. Right? So let's talk about your product now a little bit. So you started by launching a lipstick. You had never made lipstick before, so you had to kind of troubleshoot that yourself. How did you know when your product was ready and this was the exact formula that you wanted?
Yeah, so Amanda and I, we taught ourselves how to make lipstick. So we went on YouTube, we watched the videos, we bought the mold and the dyes and the everything, and set out to make lipstick. And I think what we had in our mind as like what we were trying to do wasn't necessarily to create the world's best lipstick. I don't even know what that means, right? Because different women want different things out of a formula. But what we set out to do was create nude and neutral shades that worked for deeper skin tones, because we just couldn't find them. And we tried everything. Before we even sat down to make a lipstick, we tried to find lipstick that worked. Because I mean, look, it's hard business starting a startup. So if someone's already doing it, let's not do it. But we couldn't find it. Every single nude shade out there looked crazy on us. And so we said, all right, can we create something that looks good on us, that looks good on our Hispanic friends, that looks good on our Middle Eastern friends, that looks good on our Asian friends? Can we create those shades? And we did. We started iterating and we started making the shades, and then we would invite our friends over and say like, do you like this? Does this work for you? And sort of created the collection from there. But it wasn't like, can we create the world's best lipstick? It was, can we create a product that works for this specific customer?
So testing it, you basically created your own, crew of people that would be the people that would, tell you whether it was actually a good product or not.
Totally. And we started with just our friends, and eventually we started sending the lipsticks out to influencers. And that was really important to us because we wanted a way to get as much feedback as possible. And the good thing about influencers is if you're an influencer who has 10,000 followers or 20,000 followers or however many, once I sort of get your approval, I'm kind of getting your approval, but also your followers' approval because you're posting it and they're liking it. So I'm getting more than just one opinion by getting that one person. And that was really important to us as well.
Yes, I'd love to talk more about the marketing and brand awareness side of things because you have a great product, but then you have to have people find out about it. So, what was particularly successful for you, and were there any efforts that you made that you found didn't actually work as well as you thought they would?
Yeah. So in the beginning, social media we knew was going to be huge, and we were also really bullish about PR. And so on the social media side, we sent out our samples. These were literally our handmade samples, okay? Like couldn't sell them, no preservatives. So they would have disintegrated in like 2 months, but they were very pretty. And we sent those out to influencers because we wanted to get their feedback and we wanted to get them sort of on board with the brand before we launched. We hadn't launched at this point. And we've continued that today. So now we have active relationships with over close to 300 different influencers from 10,000 followers up to millions of followers. And that's been super important to us because, again, a lot of these women have built up real trust with their communities. And so when they talk about our products, like people feel like, oh, that is something that I want to try. So that was the first thing. And then the second thing was PR. We invested in a publicist really early. A lot of people will tell you that it is not worth it to get a publicist. A lot of people who have been burned by PR firms. So this is not me saying you should definitely do it. This is me saying we felt it was important for us and it ended up being important to us. So we got a lot of really great press articles really early on in the life of the company, and that did help. We actually literally saw the boost in revenue, the boost in traffic every time we got a really great article. So for us, it was important and it was worth the investment. But I think the real takeaway is that we had to test. We had to figure that out, right? So don't go do it. Don't go do anything just because someone says it's the thing to do, but do be willing to test different marketing things. So a thing that we tried that a lot of people said was really great was direct mail. Direct mail didn't do anything for us. It was just a waste of however many $1,000s we spent on it. It didn't move the needle at all. But for some people, direct mail has been amazing, So the point is, I think for us, we realized early influencers matter. We realized early press really matters, and we realized early social matters. Now we do a big paid digital business, but a lot of the things we tried along the way didn't work, but we tried them. And what I'll say about that is, for us, I'm really, really, really ornery about when we do a test, it has to actually be a test, right? So we have to have a goal. We have to have metrics we're looking at. A test is not I'm going to put some money over here and see how it does. That's not a test. A test is my goal for this program is to get $10,000, in monthly revenue, or my goal is to get this many email addresses, or my goal is to get this many impressions. But you have to have a goal for it to be a test because you have to know if the thing performed well or didn't perform well so that you have a way of making a decision about whether to move forward with it. And so often I have had people be like, yeah, we sort of tested this. And I'm like, tell me what you mean by test. What were the actual metrics you were looking at on a daily basis to understand if this was something you wanted to continue doing? And we, every time we test a new marketing channel, are really prescriptive about what our goals are so that we can make a real informed decision about whether to move forward with it.
And, because influencers were so successful for you, I'm sure they get pitched plenty of things every day. How do you stand out when you're pitching them?
Well, in the very beginning, I think the way we stood out was just we were super honest and sincere. We didn't have a team. It was just me and Amanda. So we would DM them, we would email them, and we'd say, hey, we're just two Black girls with a dream out here, and we got these lipsticks, and we'd love if you would try them, and we're big fans of yours, and but no pressure if you don't want to. It's all good. But we just were, I think, really just honest about the fact that we've just got this dream, and we'd love it if you participated. And I think people responded to that, and the fact that when they reached out to us, we always responded. So we never treated a single influencer just a commodity. It was thank you so much. Actually, our holiday cards that we're sending out this year feature our influencers. So some of them are gonna get the card and they're gonna see their face, and that matters to them, right? We're not a big brand, but we're a brand. We're doing a few $1 million. It matters to them that as a brand, we have decided to say we care about you enough to feature you on this thing we're sending out to thousands of people. So I think in the beginning, it was just a really genuine, honest communication. But ever since then, it's been the fact that we follow up, we always respond, and we treat them like people. And I think a lot of brands make the mistake of treating influencers like commodities.
And you also utilize them on the Ment as well. And so how has the Ment been helpful in driving consumers?
Yeah, so the Mint is our blog. And we aim to post new content on the blog at least 4 times a week. And what we found since the very beginning is that women who come to our site and go to our blog spend, a lot of time on the site. And the more time she spends on the site, the more money she spends. And so the blog is really driving real revenue for us because it's going to bring up her AOV because she's seeing like different people use different products in different ways. So by the time she's going back to shop, she's like, you know what? I was just here for a lipstick. I'm going to throw a blush in because I watched that video of the girl putting on the blush. So for us, it's a great way to drive up AOV and also a great way to help her understand how to use the products. A lot of our customers are new to beauty. A lot of our customers, consider themselves to be novices. So she's going straight to the blog. She's clicking on tutorials and she's watching like 3, 4 different videos because she really wants to understand before she makes this investment in the product.
And how do you get feedback from those consumers?
So we have a couple ways we try to get feedback. The first is we have a quarterly survey where we send out to our whole email list. We usually get between 1,000, 2,000 people to respond. We've done it where we give them an incentive, like we'll give you a discount if you take the survey. We've done it where we don't give them an incentive. People still want to take the survey. So that's really helpful to us. And that's where we ask them things, not just like, how satisfied are you with the brand and how likely are you to recommend us, things like that. But we also ask like, what's missing from your makeup bag? What do you want us to do next? We might give them 5 different things we're thinking about putting in product development and say like, rank them 1 to 5, which one's most important to you? So we're always sort of soliciting feedback on what makes the most sense. So the survey is the first way. We're always getting feedback on social media. And you have to respond when people are reaching out to you on social media. I mean, it is one of the few advantages you have as an indie brand over like the big guys is that people really feel connected to you as a brand. And so it matters a lot. Like if L'Oreal doesn't respond to you on Instagram, no one cares. You are not expecting a response from L'Oreal on Instagram, but you're expecting a response from Mented. And so we respond to everything and people will like really let you know how they feel. So that's the second way. And then the third way is we host a lot of events and it's a really great way to like understand where your customer is coming from, what she's thinking about, how she uses the product, if she even understands how to use the product. Those are probably the 3 ways we get feedback.
So as I mentioned earlier, you launched 7 product lines already. So how do you know when it's time to launch a new product?
Yeah, we've launched a lot of products. And the thing is, in beauty, that's sort of the expectation. So in beauty, most brands are launching new products almost every season. So they're launching in spring and in summer and in fall. And a lot of people are also launching in the holidays as well. And because that's sort of the norm in beauty, it is hard to not participate in that cycle. So we've made the decision to participate for now, at least. So we have just about every season launched a new product. And what's tough about that for us is every time we launch a new product, it's not just a product, it's a category, right? So like if you are NARS, you can launch like 2 new lipstick shades and have that be a moment because you've already got 80 lipstick shades. But if I decide to, launch a new lip thing, like we just did, what was our last lip thing? We did matte lips. That was 12 different SKUs. And that's a lot for us. It's a lot to launch 12 different SKUs because you got to buy 5,000 of every single one of them. It's not a small thing. So it's the operational complexity of adding new product lines is something I lose a lot of sleep over. But I know the expectation in beauty is to have continued newness. And for now, we've decided to sort of like play in that rat race. I don't know if we always will. It's something I think a lot about.
And we in our last few seconds right now. So my last question for you is, what excites you most about your business today at this moment?
I think the most exciting thing is that we still get to do this. We live to see another day. In startup world, like you don't take any single day for granted because, you might not have the next day. You could run out of cash. Happens all the time. And so the fact that we still get to do this and there's so many customers who DM us, they DM me personally saying like, I love this. I love what you guys are doing. I love Dope Taupe. It's my favorite shade in the world, blah, 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 blah. It means a lot that we have, created a brand that matters to people and that we get to live to see another day.
Great. Well, thank you so much. And where can everyone find you?
Mentedcosmetics.com.
Great. Thank you so much,
Thank
KJ,
you.
and thanks everyone.